Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of GoreCon, in which we take the time to speak with small cap companies about what's going on with their firms. With us today, for the first time ever, David Luxton, Executive Chairman of KWESST Micro Systems, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol KWE. Chances are, not very many of you have heard of it. Why? It's a brand new listing, and that's why we're excited to have KWESST on here. You're not going to know the story, so let me give you a bit of a profile. They're a leader in defense technologies that increase the capabilities of soldiers. Those include those of NATO and its allies. They do this by developing next generation systems for forces around the world. Some of the coolest things I've ever seen, and you'll be able to see on the Agoracom profile page for KWESST, but that includes things like electronic decoys, so that to protect ground forces from electronic detection. Soldier launchable micro drones to intercept small drones or even drone swarms. So this is the kind of technology the company produces. The leadership team there has spanned decades of success, hundreds of millions of dollars in the military and homeland security space. And David himself, companies under him have generated over $1 billion in sales. We're happy to have him here. David, welcome to the show.
Great. Thanks, George. Good to be with you.
Hey, we're happy to have you. It's a brand new listing. Congratulations on that. But this isn't your first rodeo. You've done, your companies under your leadership have done over $1 billion in sales in this specific space. What makes you so successful in this really hyper-competitive industry?
It's a pretty simple formula. Really look for great technology with great management that addresses real requirements that are global in scope and where we can dominate niches or many niches.
So let's talk about niches. I'm glad you brought that up, because people sometimes hear homeland defense, military, and they think of the biggest things in the world, right? The biggest weaponry. You're in soldier systems. If you can, for everybody, define what soldier systems means and how that differs from a weapons company.
Well, a soldier system is really about the connected soldier, right? That's the soldier of the future. Virtually every NATO country has a program they call Future Soldier System or some variant of that. And that all entails viewing the soldier as a node on a network, where the soldier has to receive all kinds of what's called situational information and targeting information ideally as well. And so it's really about how does situational information communicate to the soldier, and how does the soldier use that for an effect in the battlefield?
Yeah, and I guess we're a long way off from, we've all seen those civil war movies where soldiers just walking in a field, lining up 10 feet away from each other and just blasting away. Now we're at the point where it's high tech on the field, right, David? And situational awareness. Everybody knows where everybody is. Everybody knows who's looking at somebody. And even though it might be kind of obvious, just how does that differentiate from weaponry?
Well, weaponry has always been there, but how do you keep the soldier safer and help them be more effective? That's really the challenge. And what KWESST has really is right in the wheelhouse of addressing that, to the extent that the soldier has situational awareness of what's going on around them. And to the extent that that same information can be applied to their weapon systems for firing effect, then the soldier is safer, further back from adversaries, behind cover, knows where everybody else is, what everybody else is doing, can connect to converge their fire through connectivity. And so this is what makes a difference. And you talked about the Civil War, but I'll just say that, today, people from watching movies think that this kind of stuff already exists. And
right,
it doesn't. That's the Hollywood effect, and also the video games that people play. The reality is not there yet, or at least it hasn't been. But KWESST is bringing that reality to the marketplace today.
It's great that you brought that up, because I got to admit, even I had that impression. Because I'm thinking, okay, what we see in movies, what we see even Fortnite, that ability to know where everybody is. I just assumed it was pretty prevalent. You were just building better mousetraps, but in fact, that business, that next wave of technology development is just beginning. So let's talk about how you're commercializing, because at the end of the day, the rubber hits the road where companies have to commercialize and sell product. In your presentation, it states that you've got $93 million in pipeline opportunities. That's as of August 2020. Let's talk about this. How did you guys amass such a big pipeline, and how does it look?
Well, first of all, our product set, our technology set is squarely within where the military is trying to go throughout NATO. And so that positions us well. And with that kind of positioning, the opportunities become apparent. We've been at this a long time in our careers. And so we have a lot of what's called, customer intimacy. We know the customers very well. We know their requirements. We develop technology to answer requirements, not to look for an application for the technology. And so that pulls opportunities out of the woodwork that are aligned directionally with where military is going, aligned with their programs. And so what we call our pipeline is keyed off of some very specific opportunities that we know will be maturing over the next several years, next 2-3 years. And we're adding to that pipeline every day.
And safe to assume, just to clarify for everyone at home, it's not as if you're expected to close 100% of that pipeline. No corporation on the planet close 100% of their pipeline, but obviously you've got a great deal of confidence given your track record that you're going to be able to capture some of that pipeline and keep adding to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we've been at this for many years, so we know how to go out and execute on what's called opportunity capture. And we have pretty tried and true strategy for just taking a page from a playbook of what we've done before, which has to do with seeding the product, first of all, with some very influential end users. They're a bit sensitive about being named, so I won't name them. You probably saw we recently announced a contract we have to incorporate our situational awareness or tasks technology into U.S. military exercises. One just completed, 2 more happening this year, bigger and more expected for next year. And that's a part of how we progress our market development. You don't go from 0 to 100 million overnight in this market. You can get very quick hits from the special forces community. So we also have a particular focus on the special forces community, which is not one community. There are many, many special forces groups just in the US alone. Right. We all have their own programs, discretionary funds. They can move more quickly, and they're opinion makers, just like some of the bigger players are. And they're a community of special forces that talks to each other, and they become, in lots of ways, our best salespeople. And that's exactly what we've done before with great success.
So David, it sounds like your business model has the perfect combination of new school and old school. New school being you're able to know what's coming down the road, what these forces will need, and you're nimble enough to develop the technology or partner with people and develop technology. And then the second part, the old school, is you and your team have got that network where it sounds like, because look, it's incredibly, for everyone at home, this is an incredibly competitive space. We know this. So it sounds like you've got a great network where you're able to pick up the phone, maybe not literally, but or maybe it is literally, you're able to pick up the phone, call up your network and say, hey, we've got something for you. Let's demonstrate it. Let me send you the specs. Is that kind of a nice summary of how to look at KWESST?
Yeah, we're able to get in front of the customer, right? Because we've been at this so many years. We know them, they know us. And there's lots of people with great technology out there that don't have the advantage of being able to do that. So we're able to get in front of them. We're able to get ahead of the game. We're able to do demonstrations and trials early in the process. This has typically so far resulted in exclusive, what are called sole source contracts to us. And that's exactly the kind of advantage you want to have in the marketplace.
And sole source contracts for everyone at home are tenders put out by government agencies, government departments, where they have a very, very specific need. And instead of putting out a mass tender, it actually gets awarded to someone because that agency or department believes that, KWESST is the only one capable of fulfilling what they need. So that's really impressive, David. That's exciting. Let's talk about the size of this market. You've opened up our eyes to the fact that, unlike what we see in Hollywood video games, the soldier systems market is just now starting to grow, and it's scheduled to be at $14.5 billion by 2023. What's your plan for carving out, your fair share of that pie for KWESST?
Well, we never look for a fair share. We look for a big share, but just to be a little less flippant, just following, what has worked before. Everything we've done in the past has been about my own career, introducing new things to market for the military and homeland security market that has never been seen before, right? And so our basic strategy around that is partly just what I was mentioning, where we get in front of the customer early, we understand their requirements, we put a very compelling technology in front of them, and we work with OEM partners who, because the end users get excited themselves. We announced teaming agreements with Mantech, for example, and with AeroVironment. You may have seen on the news tab of the company's website.
Of course.
These are important partnerships. They're major players in the U.S. Military market. As well, we have a very mature, long-standing network of agents and representatives in over 100 countries around the world. And when they get excited about what we see, we know that it's very real, because a lot of these agents, because they're so senior and so proven, if it's not exciting and they don't feel they can actually introduce it into a foreign market, they won't even get out of bed. And so we're excited that they're excited. We're excited at the trials and evaluation results of the user community to this date. And we're excited at the kind of traction we're getting with our first OEM partners and our first contracts in the market.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because I was going to actually say the one challenge to companies like yours, especially when you're trying to address a global market, because you said that a couple of times, you talk about forces around the world, is, man, it can get expensive really fast if you're deploying a sales team that costs a lot of money because they're highly specialized. I'm not talking about guys selling vacuums here, but I think you've kind of answered that question. Is that a big advantage, the fact that, David, you and your team have built up a global network of agents and representatives that I'm assuming work on a success on a success basis for you, and that way you don't have to incur that cash burn of employing a large direct sales force around the world?
Yeah, that's exactly right, George. We're not investing in big infrastructure and overhead. It's an explicit part of our plan to remain lean, so we have operating leverage, and that goes for production of the product. It's all outsourced, so we don't have a big CapEx number to cover. And the same with the go-to-market strategy, where we leverage the OEMs, as I described, and we leverage that international network of reps and agents.
Let's talk about those OEMs, for everyone home, original equipment manufacturers. That's another advantage, because that could be a difficult part of your business as well. If you've got to be the manufacturer of this equipment, that means you've got to have big facilities, complicated machinery, all sorts of technology. You're outsourcing all of that, most of it, and to who? What is some? Because I've seen Samsung, for example, on your list of OEMs. Let's talk about the advantage that brings to KWESST.
Yeah, well, Samsung is a special case in that they are the main supplier of smartphones, including next generation smart devices, to the US military. And so much of what we're designing that has to fit inside a smart device as an app, for example, for our network situational awareness system, is being built for that platform. So that's the basis of that relationship. That's obviously an advantage for KWESST. It's an advantage for Samsung as well. So it's a pretty balanced relationship. But when we look beyond that to other types of partnerships, we're really being approached more and more by additional OEMs who have looked at the results they're seeing from customer evaluation trials and have realized that this can add value to their programs and to their customers. And so they're partnering with us to pull our stuff through. A good example is AeroVironment. They're the largest supplier of tactical military drones to the U.S. military. And we've been able to develop a variant of our situational awareness system, works with their drones, streams situational awareness and even targeting information in real time, right to soldiers on the ground. Wow. And right onto their weapon systems. And it starts to look more like playing a video game than the kind of conventional engagements that we see on TV.
Which products are you? I mean, I mentioned a couple of products. I picked those out just for the cool factor. I mean, soldier launched micro drones to intercept and or destroy incoming enemy drones. And I love the decoy strategy. So essentially what that technology is doing is it's taking my digital imprint and multiplying it. So if other forces are trying to find me, they're not sure which one. I love that kind of stuff, but that's just me being the rookie, looking at what for you, you're the expert. Which of your products are you most excited about that you think are going to have big impacts in the market?
Well, what I'm excited about is that they're all potentially home run. I mean, we won't pursue any given product or solution strategy unless we have first sized the market and where any given product that can address a market niche has an obtainable market of at least some hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's our first criteria. And it's a portfolio strategy where we bring a number of products and solutions to market. They're at varying stages of maturity, and kind of we like that. It kind of smooths out what the revenue outlook could be. And these are products that, look cool, but they are actually solving real problems today that in many cases are urgent operational requirements. You mentioned the little drone missile. That is an urgent operational requirement for many forces today in deployed operations, where they've got drones trying to surveil them. They've got drones that have been weaponized trying to attack them. And these are little drones, small drones you and I could go and buy at Walmart. And they're very, very hard to defend against. You can employ electronic countermeasures to a point, but increasingly you have to be able to have some way of taking that hostile drone down out of the air. Same is going to apply ultimately in the homeland security market, where there are literally hundreds of incursions every day from drones for one reason or another, either to surveil prisons or dropping contraband or weapons, surveil sensitive critical infrastructure. And again, electronic countermeasures that actually cannot be used as extensively in a domestic situation like that. And so what do you do when you have to stop a drone threat? There's just no elegant solution for that today. So this addresses a real burning requirement in both the military and the homeland security market. So there's one that could do, very, very well. You mentioned the drone decoy in modern warfare, where our friendly forces are emitting electromagnetic signals, which allows the bad guys to know exactly where they are very quickly. It becomes essential that you be able to cloak yourself with all kinds of decoys, but to work, they have to be miniaturized. They have to be soldier deployable, or you have to be able to deploy them with a drone, pepper an area with these. And now the adversary doesn't know, as you were saying earlier, where are you or are you here, or you're there, you're everywhere.
Unbelievable.
And it buys you a lot of protection and a lot of mission time.
By the way, can I buy that system so that my wife can't find me when I'm at home?
She'll find you everywhere.
I want to put 7 decoys of me around the house so she can't find me. But that's that's fantastic. I'm not going to ask you for guidance because I know you can't give it. Well, you can, but you'd have to put in a press release. So I'm not going to ask for guidance, but Is it safe to assume, given everything you've been saying here, given the pipeline and the demonstrations, things that are well underway, that KWESST is well beyond just a good idea? And is it safe to assume that you'll be actually reporting revenues this year?
Yeah, the company is in revenue this year. You mentioned that $90+ million pipeline, so we're pretty confident we can convert a pretty healthy chunk of that to revenue. And as I mentioned, that's being added to all the time, and you can't always time that perfectly because it's customer driven. These are government contracts, but the great thing about them is that the opportunities are always there. The industry is always there. It's a healthy industry in good times and bad times, and there's no credit risk. These are attributes I like about the industry.
Last question for you, David. You're not a one-man show. You've got a great team there. And in the small cap world, we've always said that you bet on the jockey, not on the horse, but that jockey also needs some great support. Give us an example. I know it's like the Oscars. You can't mention everybody, I guess, but give us an example of the kind of team you have around you who also share the same kind of experience and success that you've had in this industry.
Sure. Well, to start with the founder, Jeff McLeod, who's also the president and the CEO. He has a background in the military, which, as I do, as several of us do on the team, which gives us natural understanding of what the operational requirements are. That's a big advantage, but he's also accomplished in his own field in industry. For example, he led Colt Canada in Kitchener-Waterloo for almost 20 years. And led it to some pretty significant growth over that time. And he surrounded himself, when he founded the company, with very impressive team of technologists, really very, very senior people, because you can't just invent this stuff without the benefit of having had long experience at it in the industry. So it's a powerful technical team. And we also have brought some great people to the board who add value. You've probably had a look at that. Guys like John McCoach, who was head of the TSX Venture Exchange. We have Paul Mangano, who was the president of a division of L3, significant defense player in the US where he's based. We have as well Paul Fortin, who really was the business development person for the international market for the defense and aerospace practice of some of Canada's major law firms. And then there's folks like Jeff Dunn in the US, who's a decorated Marine officer, highly regarded in the military community he moves in, has also had very significant commercial experience and great success there, and is doing a terrific job of uncovering all kinds of programs and projects with the Special Forces community, which, as I say, is many communities, not just one. So that's just a thumbnail. I could go on and mention more, like the Oscars. They're
right. The music is playing.
Supporting cast, a great supporting cast, and I wish we had time to mention everyone, but talented, and they deliver.
What I really love about your team, David, and sometimes you see it in the small cap world, that George, a former attorney and the head of a IR/marketing company, is starting a cannabis company or a technology company. It's just guys who are business people who think that they go into a specialty and create success. And I always find that suspect, but you've put together a team of people that not only have the business success, but they have the on the ground experience of being in the military. And you yourself, for everyone at home, David's, don't let David sell himself short, but I'm going to read this off here, that formerly an infantry officer and senior official. So you're talking about right from the bottom up, with both the Canadian and British governments before leading the global build out of multiple defense and security companies. And that's what I think is necessary to have a successful company. And the fact that you've surrounded yourself with other people like that, David, tells me that you guys have really stacked the odds in your favor for success. And can't wait to have more of these, and wishing you really good luck for the rest of the year.
Thanks very much. Well, it is the right team with the right technologies at the right time. And so certainly I'm excited about it and really appreciate your interest today. Thank you.
Yeah, and it sounds like we're going to have you on a lot more, David. I mean, here we are. It's not even the end of September yet, and it sounds like we're going to have you a lot more because you got a pipeline. You've got great things happening, and I can't wait to show people demonstrations. I know you guys are in the middle of putting that together over the next 30, 60 days. Demonstration videos of how your technology works. Through this, we've been putting up images for people to see, snapshot images, but I can't wait to see those demonstration videos. And congratulations on your listing. This is an amazing company. And I'm glad that you're giving small cap investors a chance because they've never had it before. They've never had a chance to be part of a company like this because, military, not that you're military, but that military industrial complex companies are always the big New York Stock Exchange, multi-billion-dollar, well beyond the growth stage. And here you are, a soldier systems company, cutting edge of a new wave, and small cap investors can actually participate in your growth. And I really love that about this company.
Yeah, and it's a great point. It's very few opportunities in the small cap market to get exposure to a pure play in some growth specialty defense and security areas like this that are global in scope.
Yeah, I'm excited about what you guys are going to bring. Given the success you've already had, I think it's only a question of not if, but just degree of success. Because there's no doubt about the fact that you guys have done in the past and will do it again. So thanks so much, David, for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate the interest. Thanks, George.
You've been watching, or if you've been tuning in by podcast, listen to David Luxton. He's executive chairman at KWESST Micro Systems. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol KWE. It is a brand new listing. You're not going to find a lot of information out there about the company, but you know where you will, on Agoracom. Get to the KWESST Hub. The profile page there alone is a fantastic overview of what you've heard today. There's some great images there, some further detailed deep dive for you. But this is an exciting company, and it's up to you to do your due diligence. And hopefully you discovered your next great small cap company. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a fantastic day. See you next time.